Nature made me a freak, man made me a weapon, and God made it last too long. Logan is directed by James Mangold, starring Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart, Daphne Keane, Boyd Holbrook, and Stephen Merchant. This film is about the title character Wolverine, portrayed by Hugh Jackman, supposedly for the last time, or at least that is what he says. Also, Patrick Stewart reprising his role as Professor Xavier, also possibly for the last time. And this film takes place in the near future of 2029, where Wolverine and Professor X are older, they're more world-weary, they're kind of run down, and they come across Daphne Keene's character, who is a young girl named Laura, or as the fans already know, and as you probably already know, X-23. And this film centers around them having to get X-23 to a certain place. But before I delve into the review any further, I just want to specify that there will not be any plot spoilers. I'm not going to bury the lead on this one at all. This is a fantastic film from my perspective. This film is really unlike anything we've seen from any of the previous X-Men film, really from any of the other superhero films. A lot of people are comparing this film to Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. While it is of course different in content, and I would say different in tone, the film does an extremely great job of making this world feel as realistic as possible. It takes away all of the things that we are used to seeing in the comic book superhero genre, these big action set pieces with all of the explosions and the superpowers and everything like that. It really brings it down to as realistic a level as possible, and I think James Mangold did something truly unique with this film by doing that. This film has such a dark and gritty aesthetic that it really meshes well with the themes in the film. And the themes in the film are really very well realized. There is so much thematic depth in this film, more so than I've seen in many other films in this genre. Specifically themes of hopelessness, of desperation, of regret, of just kind of mourning past lives. Also, I have to say, the acting in this film is superb. This is the best we've seen Hugh Jackman as the Wolverine. This is, I think, the best we've seen Patrick Stewart as Professor X. Really an old, broken man, both physically and mentally. It's really interesting to see Professor X, who is regarded as one of the most powerful mutants ever, to be so vulnerable about this film. Really, there's a lot of vulnerability in this film, especially when it comes to mutant kind, and we definitely see it in the Wolverine character. And also, what is unique about this film is that it is rated R. The only film really in the genre to be rated R recently to have any success has been Deadpool, and this film is a different type of rated R. It is an extremely violent and aggressive rated R, both in the language and in the violence. This has got to be the most violent of the comic book superhero films I think I have ever seen, and I have to say, if you're not one for on-screen violence, if it makes you squeamish, if it makes you uncomfortable, you may not want to see this in theaters, because with the larger screen and the sound, it becomes more apparent. But personally, I loved it. The violence we see in this film is the violence inherent in the Wolverine character that I have always wanted to see on screen. Also, special mention to Daphne Keane, who plays the young actor in this film of Laura, or X-23. I thought she was phenomenal in this film. Like I've said in previous reviews with films containing young child actors, they can go one way or another. They can be very bad to the point where it negatively impacts the film, or they can be really positive. And in this film, she delivers a really great performance that just adds to the film. So even though I like the film a lot, I would dare say I love this film, there are, of course, some problems I have with it. And one of the major problems I have with the film is that Boyd Holbrook, who portrays kind of the main antagonist of the film, really feels kind of generic to me. He feels like he's just there to serve the plot. He's not really extremely well developed in any way. While the film does have a great pace to it, even though it is very much a slow character piece, it really slows down in the second act of the film, where the plot kind of meanders a little bit. Before I give my rating, I just want to give a special thanks to Hugh Jackman, who has portrayed the Wolverine over the last 17 years in 9 different occasions, and he really has given everything he has to this character, especially in this final film, and it really goes to show his strength of character and his willingness to commit to a role for him to do it for this long, to really want to get it right. So with all that being said, I'm going to give Logan a 4.2 out of 5 stars. This is one of the best films in the comic book superhero genre. It's also a fitting end to an iconic character whom I've personally grown up with over the years. This has been my review of Logan, directed by James Mangold. If you like this review, please check out the other videos on my channel.